You ever stop and wonder how that small, slick app on your phone can safely talk to the massive, fortress-like systems of a global bank? Well, it's not magic, that's for sure. It's what we call a carefully designed digital handshake. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on this essential and often invisible world of secure partner connectivity. And to really get what's at stake, let's jump into a story you've probably seen play out before.
So, to really get our heads around this, we're going to follow a classic business scenario. I mean, this is a story that happens all the time in the tech world, right? The agile, fast-moving newcomer wants to partner up with the established global giant.
So on one side, you've got Innovate Inc. Think of them as this super creative, agile startup with a totally groundbreaking new service. And on the other side, Titan Corp., a massive, established enterprise, millions of customers. But they are incredibly focused on security and stability. They both want to work together, but there's this one huge hurdle they have to get over.
And here it is. This is the central question that the senior architect at Innovate Inc. is losing sleep over. A simple data breach could literally kill the startup. And for Titan Corp., it could be a global catastrophe. So yeah, the stakes could not be higher. How in the world do you build that bridge?
Well, luckily, our architect isn't starting from scratch. They've got a toolkit with 4 main options for building this connection. Let's break each one down, because they all offer a really different way to solve this exact problem.
First up, you've got the public API. Now, the best way to think of this is like a public service counter at a government building. It's a standard, well-known way to ask for information. It's out there, it's accessible, but it's also exposed to the public internet. And that means you need some very strong security guards, or in this case, credentials, watching that counter at all times.
Next up, the VPN. This is like building a secret encrypted tunnel that runs right underneath the city. You're still using the public infrastructure, the internet, but all your data is traveling inside this armored, totally invisible vehicle that nobody else can see into. It's a classic, tried and true way to connect 2 private networks.
Okay, option 3 is the private link. Now this is different. Imagine our 2 companies, Innovate and Titan, are in skyscrapers right next to each other. A private link is like building an exclusive private sky bridge that goes directly from one office to the other. No public streets, no shared tunnels, nothing. It's a direct, isolated, and super secure connection that never, and I mean never, touches the public internet.
And finally, we have the B2B platform. Think of this one as a big, secure, central train station. Instead of every single partner building their own custom road to your office, they all just connect to this one managed hub. The platform itself handles all the security, the translations, the logistics. It just makes it so much simpler to connect to tons of different partners at once.
So, we've got our 4 options on the table. How does our architect actually make a choice? It's not just about the cool tech specs. The decision really has to be based on 3 fundamental business needs.
And these are what I like to call the 3 pillars. First, and most obvious, security. Is the data absolutely bulletproof? Second, observability. If something goes sideways, can we actually see what's happening and fix it fast? And third, resilience. If a piece of this thing fails, does the whole connection just collapse? Or can it take a hit and keep on going?
And this right here is the crucial point. For a giant like Titan Corp, the number 1 non-negotiable priority is always going to be security. They have a massive reputation to protect, all kinds of regulations to follow. A single weak link is just not an option, and that fact heavily influences this decision.
Okay, so when we actually score these options against our pillars, some really clear trade-offs start to pop out. A public API, for example, is super easy to observe, but its security is just moderate. A VPN is highly secure, but it can be a total black box, which makes it a nightmare to monitor. But then you look at Private Link and the B2B platform, and whoa, they start to stand out, scoring high across the board, especially where it really counts for Titan Corp: security and resilience.
This chart really just hammers that point home. If your absolute number 1 do not pass go requirement is to keep your traffic completely off the public internet, then Private Link is just in a class of its own. It's the closest thing you can get to a physically air-gapped connection, which is exactly the kind of ironclad assurance a company like Titan Corp demands.
So after weighing all the evidence, after looking at all the charts and the trade-offs, our architect has a clear winner. The final decision really comes down to the specific, high-stakes needs of this one particular partnership.
And they choose the private link. So why? Because it delivers that very high level of security and resilience that completely satisfies Titan Corp's super strict requirements. And at the same time, it gives Innovate Inc. a stable, reliable foundation to build this whole partnership on. It's that exclusive private skybridge we were talking about.
And building this bridge is actually pretty straightforward. It involves 3 key steps. First, you provision the link itself. Second, you configure the doors at each end. Those are the secure endpoints to make sure only the right traffic gets through. And third, you install your cameras and sensors, your monitoring tools, to keep a close eye on absolutely everything.
So let's zoom out from our story for a second. What does all this mean for any company out there trying to connect with a partner in today's digital world? Well, there are a few really critical lessons here.
The most important thing to remember is that there's just no silver bullet. The best solution is always contextual. You have to balance the need for security with your ability to observe and troubleshoot, and the resilience to withstand failure. And this is so important. Remember that a partnership is a two-way street. Their security requirements just became your security requirements. You have to bake it in from day one.
And that leaves us with a final thought to chew on. We figured out how to secure the connection between 2 companies. But as our systems get even more complex, even more interconnected, with AI, IoT, all of it, what new vulnerabilities are going to pop up? What's the next digital handshake that we're all going to have to architect?